Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? I just saw JDR D30's video response to a question from Game Day 2016 about what was the biggest in-game surprise you've had. And so I was thinking about a couple that I've had, and so I was going to talk about those real fast. They were with the same group of players, and they were a very creative group of players. I DM'd a game probably about 4 years ago. The campaign didn't last very long, which was unfortunate. But these were really fun people to play with. So there were two things that happened that just surprised me. I'm sure I've mentioned them a little bit, but they bear repeating again because they were just really surprising. The first was, it was like a beginning adventure. It's the kind of adventure where you're setting everything up and kind of getting these people started. So I had real typical, like, there's a logging village outside the main city. There's a monster that's, messing with those guys a little bit. And then, that adventure kind of segues a little bit because there's like a tomb in the woods, and they probably will stumble, along that. They did. But I decided, for some extra stuff, I'm going to put like a little tribe of little cat people in the woods, and they're kind of be like natives, sort of Native Americans, but not really. I think I used a tabaxi from, like, I don't know if it was Monster Manual 2 or whatever. But these are these little guys that they kind of stumble across. So they stumble across them at some point. And so they have pretty successful parlay with those guys. They don't get into a fight. It looked a little dicey for a second. So they hang out with these guys, and pretty much all I was going to use these guys were for a little flavor and maybe like an information dump. Um, what happens is they hang out with these guys, and I figure, well, just for a little shtick, let's have these guys be really sort of like Southwestern Native American flavor, and so they invite these guys to have a little ceremony with them, and they have some magic mushrooms. And not that I'm advocating anything, I just thought it might be kind of flavor. So I rolled a six-sided die. What happens? Some of the people just threw up. Some of these people had some kind of hallucination or spiritual vision or whatever. So they do that. Ha ha, really funny. So I figured that's going to be the end of it. But instead, the players say, well, hey, where can we get more of those? And so I'm like operating on the fly now. And the guys they really don't have anything to offer these guys. But I figure, well, maybe like on the fly, I'm going to go with this shtick. And so these guys really like firewater. They like whiskey. And can you get us some more of that? Because the players had something. And the players are like, well, we'll see. So they go back to the local town. They take all the cash they have. They buy up barrels of whiskey, bring it back to these guys, trade it for these mushrooms, bring it back to the town to this unscrupulous guy who I had, just kind of as a bad guy character that could sell some of their stuff. Next thing you know, these people are drug dealers. Yeah, I couldn't have made this up, and I'm kind of scratching my head the whole time. And of course, they're adventuring too, but they were capitalists, and so it was really kind of bizarre. So I had to kind of figure out, well, is this illegal or illegal or what's going on? That was a surprise. So they kept me on my toes. Second time, same group of people in this town that they were kind of using as their sort of base camp. I had a couple real generic threats to the town. One was like your obligatory group of bandits that are messing with travelers on the roads and that sort of thing. And I figured they'd be a great segue into all kinds of stuff. And they were, like, where's their base camp? Where, other stuff you could kind of do in a sandbox. The other big threat, as far as I can remember, was there was a city to the north that had been sacked by like a hobgoblin army or whatever. So that they knew that sooner or later some trouble was coming their way. So, they kill some monster or whatever, and I roll for like random encounters, and sure enough, there's some bandits nearby. So I figure, these bandits end up like finding them on their night watch. And so I figure it's going to maybe be a little combat, maybe they'll try to run away, the typical thing that would happen. Instead, one of the guys with pretty high charisma starts to talk to the bandits. So I roll, a reaction roll. The bandits respond pretty well, and it was looking pretty dicey. Next thing you know, he invites them, come on, have some of this kill that we just, monster we just killed, eat some meat. And they start negotiating with these guys. Next thing you know, the players come up with this great idea. How about we kill two birds with one stone? We take care of your menace entirely, because now we're going to bring you back to the city, introduce you to the mayor of that city, and we're going to negotiate you being hired muscle for the city as a secondary defense against any threats, including this other army that's coming, so you can deal with their scouts and whatnot. I'm scratching my head, and of course we have to role play this whole thing out. Stuff I never would have thought of. So those are two of the biggest surprises this group threw at me. Probably, back-to-back sessions are pretty close as a DM. So I like that kind of stuff. That to me is real fun role-playing. I mean, I like some hack and slash, but when players think creatively out of the box and keep me working, I like that a lot. And I like to do that as a player as well. So those are probably two of the biggest surprises that I can think of. I miss playing with those players, and I look forward to playing with some people like that again.